Welcome to my Automate Everything series. Episode number 5, Doughnut Mark 1. With the hospitality and advertising cards. With 628 expected groups of customers. All of them hungry and close to starvation. All of them upset and angry because it's raining outside. All of them impatiently screaming for food. Okay, joke aside, welcome to my Doughnut Mark 1 video, which will most likely be my last video for the Automate Everything series. Because like when I started the series, I was naive and I was thinking that everything is full automatable, but I quickly learned that it's not possible to full automate everything. Like a recipe like the spaghetti one or recipe that has too many combination, those recipes are not full automatable, at least not with the normal size map, right? But I will continue do more played up content though, because like I like this game too much to not continue to do it. Yeah, and so the future played up content on my channel will then be just like challenges where I go for OT day 50, or I will just do like semi-automation system like my poop system, where I take all the starter and all the dessert, right, and maybe other stuff as well. For this video I want to try out something new, like let the time lapse run in the background while I'm kind of explaining the system, right? I mean, I won't fully explain every little detail from the system. I'm just talking about the interesting stuff in the system, and then like the important stuff, right? Like the fake condition and then stuff like that. I will just talk during the time-lapse running in the background, and that way the video can be then shorter and also a little bit informative. And yeah. Okay, let's go to the first interesting thing that I want to talk about, which is a mechanic that I call speed grabbing. I discovered this mechanic a long time ago. I mean, like, it's basically one of the first things that I discovered, but like I never thought that the day would come where I actually gonna use this technique, because like if you look at it, it seems so useless by doing this grabbing after the pushing from another different grabber, right? But let me explain to you like why it is useful to use the speed grabbing mechanic. So for that you have to understand that normally if the grabber is grabbing an item, right? Let's say that the rotation grabber that you see here, it's grabbing the item and then it try to push out the item on the other side, right? And then while it is pushing out the item, it cannot grab the next item. So the next item that comes from the teleporter will then just sit there and wait until the rotation grabber is finishing pushing out the item, right? And so by doing that, there's like a 1 second delay for each movement, right? But if you do the speed grabbing technique, that way, like once the normal grabber is grabbing out the item that is on the rotational grabber, the rotation grabber no longer push out the item, and therefore the rotation grabber can grab the next item. And that is why I call it speed grabbing, right? Because like that way you already save like 0.5 seconds, and in this system, in this specific scenario where I use the speed grabbing technique to serving, it's even better. So if you pay close attention, you can see that once the grabber already grabbed the item, like once it started to grab the item from the rotational grabber, then it means that the item is on the normal grabber, and that's why the table can already grab the item from that grabber. So like the table that is on top, right, the two tables that is on the top, they now can grab the item while the item is only in the middle of the rotational grabber. Like the item is being served even though it's only in the middle of the rotational grabber. And like if you do it the other way around, where the grabber is on the bottom and then the rotation rotation grabber is on top, and then the rotation grabber no longer has the first grabbing prio, and therefore it has to wait for the item from the grabber to push into the rotation grabber, right? And so if it does that, then the top table, two table, has to wait until the item reaches the middle of the rotation grabber, and then it can grab out, which is so much slower. And also, by doing that, the next item will also not be grabbed immediately, right? So the next item also have to wait a second. So like it's so much slower. So like in this serving system specifically, the speed grabbing technique is actually so insanely good. So in conclusion, all you have to remember is if you want to use my speed grabbing technique, then you have to put the normal grabber behind the rotational grabber. That way you can create the grabbing prio, not the other way around. And if you use the same type of grabber, then it's unfortunately RNG. So like then sometimes it is a speed grabbing, and then sometimes it's just grabbing slowly. Yeah, basically that is the speed grabbing mechanic explained. And now let's move to the next thing. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about that is also interesting is the quote-unquote infinite queue time from this system, right? I mean, like, when the game decided to give me the herd mentality card, I literally thought the run was over. Like, because like this is the first time that I see stuff like this, and this is also the first time that I realized that you can actually create like an infinite loop for the queue outside. Like, that is actually possible for you to do it. Like, as long as you're serving people fast enough and making them leaving the restaurant fast enough to continuously buffing the queue, then you are totally fine. I mean, and also you have to remember like to create the loop, right? Because like you want your customers to leaving the restaurant one by one. Like, you don't want them to leaving all at once, because then it will over buffing the queue outside, and then you're like wasting the buff from the table, right? And for stuff like this, you want to like try to save every second everywhere you can, right? And that is why earlier on I was talking about like the 1 second that you can save by using the speed grabbing technique. Like, I know it may not sound like much, but in reality, to create like the infinite loop and to make your life easier, and so that you can have more room to make like mistakes and stuff, like the 1 second actually matter a lot. Okay, but like the last thing that I want to talk about for the infinite queue system is that the 3 cards that would ruin the infinite queue, right? Which is the leisurely eating card, which made them eating slower. That would ruin the infinite loop. And the other card would be the bigger group size, but that card you can avoid by taking like the individual dining card, right? And the last card would be the card that make it impossible for you to see the order from the customer if you are not close to the table. And so like that card would force me to like redesigning the entire map, where I have to like spinning things around and make it so that I'm staying next to the table, and so that way I can see the order, right? But then other than that, every other card pretty much doesn't matter, right? Okay, and so the last thing that I want to talk about for this video will be the fail condition from this system. And the first fail condition is like the obvious one, which is like if you run into a very bad sequence where like 16-ish group of people ordering just one thing, then the reproduction time of the system will then be too slow. Because like the slowest reproduction time from the system is like the pie crust and the pumpkin reproduction, right? Which is like 2.5 seconds. But that is like very unlikely that they all order just one thing. So yeah. And the second fail condition in the system that I want to talk about is the chocolate donut frozen prep station fail condition. So if you look at my chocolate donut production system, you can see that the grabber that pushed the chocolate donut into the frozen prep station can also push just chocolate into the frozen prep station. So therefore you have to make sure that you always have one chocolate donut left in the frozen prep station. That way it cannot be filled with just chocolate. Like overall, I'm not completely happy with the way the chocolate donut is being produced, because like ideally you would want the combiner to combine into the grabber instead of into the danger hop. Because if you combine into the danger hop, then the melted chocolate has to like rotate a full cycle until it gets combined with the donut, right? And that is not ideal, because then the chocolate donut will be reproduced like batch wise and not like one after another. And the third and last fail condition that I want to mention is the cheese board fail condition. So I only plan out for the system to have like 4 cheese boards being in the system, because that's the number of tables that I'm serving. I don't want to misgrab and misdrop in more than 4 cheese board. Because if I put in more cheese board into the system, that will block out some of the compactor bin. And then I'm not allowed to make mistake anymore. But like luckily, even though I'm like the champion of misgrab and misdrop things, you probably already see it how often I misgrab and make mistake during the day. Fortunately, I never misgrab or misdrop in like more than 4 cheese board. But I just want to mention it because like it's important to know that you cannot put in more than 4 cheese board into the system, otherwise you will block out some of the things. But anyway, that's pretty much everything that I want to talk about for this video, and I hope you like the system and the video, and thanks for watching. Bye. Welcome to my Automate Everything series. Episode number 5. Doughnut. Fuck. Welcome to my Automate I can't. Fuck, stop it. Welcome to my Automate Everything series. Episode